segment, I want to discuss the kind of biggest stooge in the Labour Party, or at least one of them. You know, a person who said she would stab Jeremy Corbyn in the front, not in the back. A person who undermined Corbyn a lot when he was trying to take on the Conservative Party, who has now turned into a massive believer in things like loyalty. So let's cut to Jess Phillips.
About some of the fault lines that led to what happened over the welfare bill. He's not shied away from that, but and actually I don't think that the discipline that has been meted out in over the last 24 hours is linked to that, because many more people voted against the...
Yeah, but he's gone after the ringleaders. Like, it wasn't just the votes, he's gone after the people who organised the rebellion.
Government than these four people.
So what is it linked to?
Well, I mean, I actually don't know, because I don't...
Oh, of course you don't. Now you're going to play stupid when you know clearly what the issue is, because it's been reported on. You know, before this interview went out, it was he went after the people who led the rebellions, the people who, you know, were very public in their opposition to the cuts and things like that.
I'm not part of the disciplining team. However, it would seem that it's a level of sort of persistence of speaking against the government.
There you go, you figured it out.
The phrase used by one was persistent, and I apologise for using this again, but it does give you a sense of what the thinking is within the Whip's office of the Labour Party. Yeah. Persistent knobheadery.
Yeah.
Such a stupid phrase. Like, these are the people who are fighting against cuts to disabled people. Like, these are the people on the right side of history, and you've got you who's on the wrong side of history.
Well, their words, not mine. But like I say, I don't particularly know the details. But the reality is that we have to, like, there has to be an element of discipline. Otherwise, you know, you end up not being able to go.
We'll come back to this. We'll let this one set. We'll come back to this.
But if people had been disciplined in the way the Whips want, and they hadn't been persistent...
And let's be real here. It wasn't just the Whips that were doing this. You had people who were being shouted at by SPADs, you know, people that were bullied, effectively. You know, is this the kind of party discipline? You know, Jess Phillips, a person who is very much on the forefront of pushing women's rights constantly. You had women being shouted at specifically by SPADs and other things. Is she okay with that? Because it goes far beyond the Whips here. This is a culture of bullying, especially when you look at the way Sue Gray was treated by that, you know, Starmer's top team.
You'd still be cutting benefits for the disabled, wouldn't you? You'd still...
And Jess Phillips would stand on that.
...be cutting winter fuel allowance for pensioners.
And Jess Phillips would stand on that as well. Because let's not forget, the only reason she left the shadow cabinet last year was because she thought she would lose her seat. That's the only reason she went against the Whip, you know, the Labour Whip, effectively, on those key votes around, I think it was around Gaza.
You'd be ploughing on with attempts to cut the bill for special educational needs. It's only because people are willing to be persistent, like Rachel Maskell. Ministers finally woke...
Oh, my days, he cooked it, absolutely.
Come and listen, surely.
I absolutely reject that characterisation, actually, because, like I say...
Excuse you. You were the guys who were going to push it to the very last minute. You guys pushed the legislation that would have cut PIP. This is complete nonsense. This is a rewriting of history in real time.
These people, welfare, this is not about the welfare bill, because...
It was literally about the welfare bill, because they were cut, you know, I think days after, it might have been a week after, for persistent rebellions. What were they rebelling over, Jess? What were they causing issues over, Jess? Like, honestly, this level of playing stupid, or maybe it's not playing stupid at this point, is crazy.
Because, as I've said, there were over 40 Labour MPs who voted a different way to the government.
Than that?
Yeah, you know, Claire Maskell or Rachel Maskell voted against the winter fuel cuts as well. So, you know, this idea was just a singular, you know, oh yeah, they were going to suspend 40 people, whatever. They went after the ringleaders.
Labour MP we just heard from.
Well, I don't know what Rachel Maskell has done, but
does she not choose her words carefully enough? Not talk to...
What was she persistently rebelling against? Like, honestly, this is the highest level stooge. And you know, like, the government's messed up when you've got ministers acting this stupid. Genuinely, this stupid. It's just wow. And, you know, this person going out, and, you know, Nick Robinson here, like, Jess Phillips is just ridiculous. And there's more as well.
Rachel Maskell having the whip withdrawn for her involvement in that welfare rebellion?
I mean, whether I agree with it or not is sort of academic. These are decisions.
So you agree with disabled people having their you know, support cut? Fair enough.
For the chief whip, and I don't know the details. So it's you know, like, I don't know the details.
She's saying she's standing up for her constituents in not having their welfare payments cut.
But lots of people who voted against the government in the welfare bill haven't
Who led it, mate?
lost their whip. So I don't think that it's not about that, is it? I mean, I'm not Columbo, but that doesn't seem like...
Yeah, we can tell you're definitely not Columbo, pal. Columbo would have figured out, sort of solved the case about 5 minutes ago.
I'm not Columbo, but that doesn't seem like it's just about that. And from what I can see in the reporting... do you know what I think is fair? Is I think that we have to operate as a team. Now, I robustly challenge...
You have to operate as a team now. You have to operate as a team now. You know, now it's about party loyalty. Now that I'm part of the driving team, I'm part of the officer, the officer class. I'm in the ministerial team now. It's about loyalty.
Challenge my own government all the time about things that I want to happen and how I want policies to go.
I'm sure you do that a lot, pal. I'm sure you're constantly nagging them. Sure.
Take part in debates with both backbenchers, frontbenchers, at the highest echelons of our party.
Of course you do.
Including the Prime Minister. I don't think that debate has ever been particularly stifled, but you have to.
Given how, inaccessible the Prime Minister is for colleagues, I doubt that's true.
Act as a team, and you have to, we have to achieve things together. And if people persistently undermine the government...
Persistently... I think there's 2 occasions where she's done that. And, if you don't talk about a person who demanded loyalty, we cut to Jess Phillips.
It's just a shame that quite a lot of the people who are sat in front of me, who know what has happened over the last 2 days is wrong, are too cowardly to actually say to me in here, in public, what they're all saying in the tea rooms. You know what has happened over here. It's as if we were kicking out Harriet Harman. That is what it feels like. It is.
So context, this is about 21 Tories who were sacked for defying Johnson over Brexit, including Churchill's grandson. And this was a party who, the Conservative Party who stood on a policy platform of getting Brexit done. And, whatever you think about that period of time, Boris Johnson was trying to get his version of Brexit done. And now it's all tears. Now it's all, I can't believe it, guys. I can't believe you've got rid of people from the party. The person who demands party loyalty now was so shocked that, they were trying to get rid of MPs from their party for not obeying the whip. Crazy, right?
It's an abomination the way your party has behaved. Absolutely.
So, you're for disability cuts, but, Brexit was such a deal breaker for you.
And you've all crowed and given sympathy to me about the problems that we have in the Labour Party, and you've just sat by silently while your colleagues have been marched out.
Yeah, you've done that as well, haven't you? When your colleagues were dragged into the whip's office and had the whip removed, you've been, you haven't been silent. You've probably defended it. You'd be there when Caesar's getting shivved, and you'd be like, yeah, let me get involved in that. Crazy work. There's a bit more here, about the persistent behaviour bit.
Removed. The Times quoted a senior source in government who said the MPs had been suspended for persistent knobheadery. Nick, what have you been hearing?
Well, it was put to me in sort of rather more diplomatic terms than that, which is that there's...
Also the fact that this Newsnight clip came out before her interviews as well.
2 things you've got to understand about the reason why these 4 Labour MPs, now former Labour MPs, were suspended is that firstly, it was a repeated and persistent pattern of behaviour across a range of issues.
With Rachel Bascott, I think it was over winter fuel allowance and the cuts to the PIP. I don't think she did too much on the 2-child cap, for example.
Let's not forget that 47 Labour MPs rebelled against the 3rd reading of the welfare bill, but 4 were suspended. The second thing to bear in mind, I'm told, is you cannot run a disciplined governing party.
So this is literally the same stuff that Jess Phillips was saying.
If you have people regularly heading off the reservation, one particular reason for that is it leaves those who remain on the reservation politically exposed.
And that's why they're worried, because they back these bad policies. And it's the same situation that Boris Johnson had, where you get your ministers and your top team to back these awful policies, and then you U-turn and make everyone look stupid, and everyone gets mad about it.
But I am told there could be a way back. There just needs to be a reminder that if you stand on a manifesto together...
There was no manifesto for cutting PIP and winter fuel allowance. There was no manifesto pledge on that, unless you want to argue that in order, Rachel Reeves' fiscal rule, balancing the books and all that comes before everyone else, everything else, and that everything is fair game to achieve this goal. Cool. If that's what you want to argue, then you have to argue that increasing taxes on the top earners in this country is fine and fair game and part of the manifesto. That's the only way you get around this.
you need to stand by that. But they will review it. But I do have to say the reaction was very fierce that I was picking up. One left-winger said to me, "This is desperate stuff. It shows how thin-skinned Keir Starmer is." He actually changed position on welfare as a result, certainly of what Rachel Maskell did, one of the ones suspended. And then this person said to me, "This makes the Prime Minister look so weak."
Yeah, and it makes Jess Phillips look pretty bad as well. And there's just one more clip that we wanted to discuss on this, which is Rachel Maskell discussing this.
Cutting money from some of the poorest in our society is not what a Labour government should be doing. We should be ensuring those people are taken out of poverty, have the support that they need. We know already how stressful it is not to have the resources.
So you're not going to change your behaviour to get back into the Parliamentary Labour Party?
Well, I am Labour through and through. I've been a member of the party 34 years. I couldn't be more committed to making sure that we have the best Labour government ever. We're doing so much, but I recognise also the broken economy, the world tearing itself apart.
But what's the answer to the question? You're going to change your behaviour in response to losing the whip?
Well, and therefore, I think what's really important is I want to ensure that as a party there is learning, that there is a moving forward, and we build
Sorry to be
bridges.
persistent, Rachel Maskell. I'm asking you whether you will change your behaviour. It's perfectly legitimate to say no. I've no intention of changing.
It's a dumb question. It's a stitch up. It's a stitch up, that is, because they'll use this against her if she decides to rebel in the future. And if she says that she will rebel, they'll use that against her not to keep her out of the party. It's such a dumb question.
My behaviour. But what's the answer to the question?
Yeah, it's not about my behaviour.
Well, it is. That's why you've been suspended from the Labour Party. So I'm asking you whether you'll change.
Because she's embarrassed them. She's embarrassed them twice already.
Well, I'm pretty clear you won't from what you're saying, will you?
Well, I will continue to advocate for my constituents,
Fair
of
enough.
course.
Now, one option open to you is to go with Jeremy Corbyn, with others.
She ain't going to do that. That's the Trump move.
Into a new party, a party that more accurately, I suspect, reflects your views and attitudes, whether it's on benefits, fiscal policy, or indeed on Gaza.
Oh, no. I'm Labour through and through. I support the Labour Party. You know, that's, I've been a member.
Does the Labour Party support you, though? That's going to be the question.
For so long, walked the streets, knocked the doors, all those years. And of course, I want to see a Labour government really succeed. And I really hope from this process.
You're the person here who has voted against the disability cuts and, is objectively on the right side of history versus this absolute stooge who is like demanding loyalty. But when the Conservatives were getting rid of people because of their Brexit vote, because of their situation, because of their lack of unity on Brexit, she started having a meltdown. Let's just watch this again.
It's just a shame that quite a lot of the people who are sat in front of me, who know what has happened over the last 2 days is wrong, are too cowardly to actually say to me in here, in public, what they're all saying in the tea rooms. You know what has happened over here. Getting rid, it's as if we were kicking out Harriet Harman. That is what it feels like. It is an abomination the way your party has behaved. Absolutely. And you've all crowed and given sympathy to me about the problems that we have in the Labour Party, and you've just sat by silently while your colleagues have been marched out.
So I'd argue potentially you're worse in this case because you didn't just sit by silently. That's what a lot of other Labour MPs have done. You've decided to go to the bat for the villains in the situation. That's what you've done. So I think you're probably worse than these guys in that sense. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.